and I'm going to let her take it from here, and she's going to introduce our other panelists. So thank you all so much for being here.
Thanks,
Much
Stephanie.
appreciated.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's always a delight to be here. Stephanie makes this experience so welcoming. And if you haven't met her, please say hello and introduce yourself before you leave. And come back to the point, because there's always tons of great education here. We know you have a choice. There are so many different things for you to come and see. And we really appreciate and value your time for coming today. So we're going to talk for 30, 40-ish minutes, and then we're going to open for questions because we know that you have them. So write your questions down as we go through, and be sure to, don't be shy. You have a chance to speak with two experts. I am not an expert, but I love to talk about stuff happening in our industry. So I'm really excited to dive into this conversation. After lunch, which is again sponsored by Elan Design, we have a private tour of the Phillips collection, which is just next door. And you're all welcome to join us on that tour as well. So stick around. If you don't know the Phillips collection, you're in for a true delight. They are a true supporter of science and design and neuroaesthetics, their products, and all the people working there are, able to answer your questions and help you source with them. So join us for that. Just wanted to mention that. I am going to read introductions to our esteemed panelists if you don't know them already. I will introduce myself really quick. I'm Ericka Saurit. I am a former interior designer turned brand marketing strategist. I work with brands and interior designers, architects, builders in our industry to help you create, turn your business into a brand. I focus on helping you get the right position in your market, helping you polish your message, and make sure that you're consistent and clear across all your marketing channels. I'm also the co-founder of the Vacation Rental Design Summit, which is happening this summer. So if you have any questions about that, you can ask after the summit or ask after our panel. Okay, so I'll start with Erin. Erin is the founder of Elan Design, interior design and fine art. She's known for her presentation of fine art paintings and evocative spaces. She believes that the home is the foundation for your life, your work, and your family. One of the first in the design industry to achieve the Science in Design certification, she applies neuroaesthetic principles to her well-crafted rooms and original artwork. The customized residences and offices she designs for her clients result in their enhanced performance and optimized health. As a go-to expert, Erin is a frequent speaker to designers, architects, and trade professionals on the subject of neuroaesthetics, and has been featured in several publications and media outlets. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you.
And Jennifer Farrell. As a celebrity designer and television host, award-winning interior designer, and product designer, Jennifer Farrell is a familiar face to audiences who have enjoyed her designs and shows for over 2 decades. I can't believe that.
2 decades. Now you're counting how old I am, right?
Founder of the award-winning interior design firm Jennifer Farrell Designs, Jennifer became nationally known for hosting the long-running series Find and Design, and currently hosts $1 Million House Hunters and Most Amazing Homes. She was named Design Visionary 2020 by the International Surface Event, and her product designs have won numerous awards, most notably the 2023 Top Flooring Product in Thailand Stone. She was recently honored as Best of Design by Interiors California, and is the recipient of the prestigious ANDYZ Award for Best Residential Design. What does that stand for?
Go Andes.
Andy. It's the Andy's Award.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Sorry. Jennifer's iconic work has been featured in dozens of publications, and she has teamed with some of the finest luxury brands in all sectors for her celebrated product collections. Her newest design collection, Jennifer Farrell for Global Views, is a 20-category world of furniture, lighting, rugs, art, and decor that unveils in 2025. Has it?
I'll see you at Fall Market, everyone.
Yes. As a nationally recognized design expert and a leading influencer in the A&D community, Jennifer is a keynote presenter and speaker for building and design industry trade events across the country. Welcome. welcome.
Thank you. Okay,
Okay, so
let's go.
let's go.
Let's
Um,
go.
I want to level set a little bit because I come to this conversation with a bit of a provocative beginning. I studied interior design in graduate school. I have a master's degree in interior architecture. And a few years ago, when I first heard about neuroaesthetics, I was like a little annoyed. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, that's interior design. Like, that's what we're doing anyway. That is what I was taught we are meant to do. Make spaces feel safe, make them feel healthy, make them feel like they belong. And part of the language of that is what I learned in design school. And we studied biomimicry. We studied, it was around 2000, the year 2000, 2001. And there was a lot of conversation at that time, and I had even had a mentor in the program where I was doing my master's degree she was an interior designer. She had been working with NICU units for babies, preemies, and what she was able to do through the University of Virginia was to redesign these spaces for these NICU babies. So she added softer lighting, she added softer materials, she was able to get the mothers in to touch the babies. And what resulted from that was a shorter hospital stay, going home much sooner, and healthier babies in general. So the hospital spent less money, the babies went home sooner, everybody won. And all of this because of the power of interior design and the idea that, creating an environment that really cared for the neuroaesthetics of the infant resulted. And the mother. Everyone.
And the nurses, and the
Yes.
staff workers that walk in there,
100%.
and the doctors that walk in there. Everybody operates on a different level
Yes.
when they have this relationship with their environment, and they feel safe, they feel whole, and they feel aligned. And that is when, we'll talk more, but that is
I know
when.
you love this so much. It's okay. No, but I remember at that time thinking like, everybody should know about this study. This is phenomenal work, and it really helps us as designers come into a meeting with a client and say, we're not just creating, we are of course creating gorgeous, beautiful spaces, but yet there is so much more fundamentally important quality of life issues that we can bring to you. So how do we, create a language and make sure everyone knows this, because it's really going to change people's lives. So when I first heard about this, I was like, this is already what we're doing. But I really then dug into the science and design. I loved the way it helped designers and people in our industry, brands, everyone, align around a language and align with a set of principles that allowed them to go back to their clients and really communicate the value of design in a whole different way. And that is when I was hooked.
Well, and talking language, so first of all, I just want to see a show of hands. Before you came into this room today, how many of you have used the word neuroaesthetics in a conversation? Okay, that's actually surprising because even though it is not a new concept or a new study, it is definitely a new word in the presence of the interior design community and total awareness. I want from the expert the best one sentence definition that everyone can take out from this room. What is neuroaesthetics?
One sentence: in neuroaesthetics is the way our environment affects our brain and nervous system. Neuroaesthetics is the way our environment and art affect our brain and nervous system.
We had an interesting conversation before today talking about what we were going to be discussing, and you said something really interesting, Erin, that I know it's been in the back of my mind before, but I had not heard it encapsulated in the 25 years I've been doing this, that in our industry of creating home and business spaces, there is nobody else in the room whose job is questioned as a valid and necessary job. No one says to the architect, we don't really need an architect. We can design those plans and get them permitted by ourselves. Nobody says to the contractor, oh, we don't really need your construction crew. We can all figure this out. But the interior design community has an innate challenge in the legitimacy of our necessity. Reason being that people take for granted that what you are seeing in your space and experiencing in your space is something that is just kind of felt out and just sort of shows up, and that anyone can do it. The people in this room know that's not true. But the validity of our job, which is why this conversation today is about how you get the yes, getting to that yes.
Yes.
The validity of our careers and our profession this is a tool now that you have, is neuroaesthetics, that we are basing our jobs on fact and science of how you as a client will react in your space, what's going to happen in your brain, and how it will affect every part of your life. So I thought that was a really interesting point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so happy you liked it. That is what shifted for me. I am tired of being the cleanup crew. I am not your shopper. If something goes sideways, oh, what do we do now? Well, why didn't you ask me in the first place? Why are you looking at the builder? He doesn't know. I know. I have complete control over this project. I know you, I know the construction, I know the house, I know the materials, I know what we're doing here. We need to be consulted with first and foremost and paid appropriately for it.
Let's start there. So, absolutely, 100%. Designers are oftentimes undervalued, underestimated, brought in too late on a project, really, really, really not given the space that we are due. So let's start from the beginning. Let's start with the language and the way that you are communicating the value of, again, these are big words that clients can be really afraid of. Neuroaesthetics, biomimicry, and there's a lot of misperception around what that means. So let's start from the beginning so that if anyone is interested in polishing their language around this, how are you communicating this as a part of your business, of your core ideology, of your how you frame your brand? Is that showing up on your website, on your social media, how you communicate with clients? Take us back to that before you get them to yes. How do you start to introduce this as a core component of your services?
Me first? I'll go. We sing the praises of neuroaesthetics. We establish neuroaesthetics is probably the 5th word in our first sentence to them. We want our clients to understand that we're professionals here. We are coming to you with a solid service. We are your partner, we are your team. We want you to feel amazing. We want you to achieve all your life's goals, and the spaces that we create are going to make that happen. Let's establish where we are, who we're dealing with. So I use the word neuroaesthetics all the time, and they don't really know what I'm saying the first 4 times. When I continue to use the word, when I continue to say, neuroaesthetically, this is going to be good for you. Neuroaesthetically, you're not going to like that, so let's shift gears. Then they start to say, oh, you're right about that. That's all the way over there. I'm not going to like that because I have to do all this, walk to the other side of the room for what I need. Or that window is not really what I need to look out of, so I'm gonna go to the other window. Let's shift the furniture. Let's make all these decisions, because that's what we do, 1 million decisions in a day for a space. When we make these decisions, we have facts behind them. We didn't just pick stuff out.
That's maybe a quick follow-up question is to say, how then are you using some of these science backed principles in, obviously in space planning, but in the materiality that you're choosing. But talk a little bit about what happens in the brain when we experience beauty, when we experience spaces that are designed with our wellness and our principles, top front and center. Because I think that's also a language that we can calibrate on that will give designers a way to communicate with their clients the value.
So while the human brain is a very complicated mechanism, it's also very simple. There is one driving force for all humans, and it is to feel good. That sounds like a super simple sentence, but every action that occurs in your physical self, your psychological self, the way that you interact with your world is driven by a core of feeling good. The human brain says, don't put your hand in that fire because it's going to burn your hand off, and that will not feel good. The human brain says, I want to care for my child because that is good for me. Feeling good is about health. It is about your physical health, your psychological health. It is everything that we do in some way is driven by the core of feel good. So then how do you apply that in a space with neuroaesthetics? Every sense that you have is affected by your neural pathways, or your neural pathways are affected by the senses that you're experiencing. So every touch, every smell, every sound, everything you see, everything you feel is affecting your brain at any given moment. We're all doing it right this minute. And so as we're having the conversation with our clients, I'm talking to them about how we feel good in this space. What makes you not feel good in this space? Why is it that you walk into this room and you say, I hate this room? What is it that's driving that? And how can I make changes to that space so that you feel good?
We receive information. We receive, fasten your seatbelts, honestly, 11 million bits of information per second. The human body absorbs 11 million bits of information per second. 95% of that is subconscious. So the body regulates and understands itself subconsciously. We are already doing the thing without the last 5% of a conscious thought. So when we ingest these sensory stimulus, so we ingest data through our senses, our brain is front and center. Front and center is the happiness. When we like something, we lean into it. Do you ever do a space? Do you ever fix your closet or redo a cabinet or something and you go and visit it? You go visit at the end of the day, I want to go see my space. Your brain is driving you. You want more of that. The dopamine makes you happy and it starts shooting off and you want another little taste.
To feel good.
I want to feel good. Here's dopamine right here. If you don't like something, you avoid it. When you smell something bad, your body goes like that. It's a mechanism. So when you don't like something, amygdala and motor cortex activates fight or flight or freeze. Get me out of here. Back away. I don't like this. You can tell that your body is doing things. When you put a sample in your client's hand and they put it down, they don't like it. Stop talking, get out of there. If they walk around the room with it, you have yourself a winner, and how much can I use this fabric?
That's super interesting. I'm curious, how do most of the clients that come to you have already this in mind? They already know that neuroaesthetics or that healthy, wealthy spaces are part of what they're looking for.
No, and most of them have not heard that word before. What is interesting is that health and wellness has become an actual movement in design, which, I would like to say that health and wellness should have always been a movement in design and in every part of our lives, but it really is now, just in the last 5 years, becoming a staple for clients. So they are coming now saying, I want a wellness space, I want an analog space, I want a meditation space, I want products that are sustainable, that are eco-friendly, that don't off-gas. They are using the right language now about incorporating health and wellness. They don't necessarily go to the root of what's driving that, which is the neuroaesthetics, their brain looking to feel good. And now we're kind of bringing that into the conversation with them.
So I just jump in real quick. That's really important, is to say that we're now in a world where we don't have to do so much heavy lifting to bring clients into the conversation around why their environment is so important. But where we can meet them is with this language to validate their instincts to want to live in a space that's, better caring for them and their family. But then to be able to meet them with the actual language and the design principles that allow you to deliver a space that I love that. I'm just trying to level set again on where this fits into our process if you're just getting started, or if you, again, need to understand this more deeply.
You will up-level your position and the profession of interior designer when you can deliver. They're calling us because they want it. They want the space. They want to be in this environment that they love and they thrive in. They're leaning on us. So when we can rise and say, you called the right person, I am going to take the best care of you, I'm going to change your life, and we are on this journey together to build this environment that is going to serve you forever. Your family's going to be happier, you're going to be happier, you're going to have more success, and when you buy your second home, please call me, we'll do that again.
But there's something, I love that too. It's the idea that a home isn't, it can be for some people, a home is a place and time in their life with their family. They transform, they change, they evolve. It's part of a story. It's part of their heritage. It becomes, it captures in photos, it becomes part of the family folklore. All of that is really beautiful, but there's something to be said about the idea that maybe we can also include this multi-generational, time, it's something that travels and evolves with us, our home. It's not just a place, it becomes, again, a fixture in our family. And Jennifer, you're doing this. You're really active in shaping that idea.
Well, as you're talking, I thought, gosh, that sounds like such a good idea. Oh, right, because I didn't actually do that. But Ericka tells it so well. I am working on ICE House, that's ICE, which is Interconnected Changeable Environments. It is a show home experience. I create show home experiences about every 3 years to sort of encapsulate a design world, and I partner with my brands and bring them in to showcase the finest of their wares inside my Jennifer Farrell design. ICE House, though, is one that I've been developing now in my brain for probably 20 years because there's a lot of story I'm trying to tell there, and one is about a home that changes with you so that you don't have to change your home changes. It's actually 3 separate structures that are connected by these steel and glass breezeways that can shrink and grow, and so you can live in 300 square feet or 5,000 square feet. You can live in it as 1 home, 2 homes, 3 homes, even up to 5 homes. It grows and changes over time, and we're doing this in the south of France, so that's not a bad thing, but one of the reasons we're doing it there is because I'm reaching to tell a story about ancient meets modern heritage and about adaptability, sustainability, livability, about multi-generational life, changing life. Sometimes we're single, sometimes we have 20 family members, sometimes we are 3 generations, sometimes we're 1. But there is a global culture of design conversation that I know you've heard that phrase, or hopefully you've been hearing that this week. We're talking right now about the global culture of design. It is an emerging movement in design about the connective tissue of the design experience for all of us in a global way. And how is that translating into materials? I just want to get to that while I've got it on my head. It's translating into the sense of heritage, of hand craftsmanship, of artisanry, of personal touch. There is an affected personal touch in materials right now. And I am active not just in the home furnishings world, but in the services world as well. And that's something we're seeing a lot with textural materials, with pieces that feel like they could be 1,000 years old, told in a new way. And so that's what we're doing at Ice House, is I'm telling this ancient meets modern story about global culture of design, about changing life and how we adapt with it, and how our home adapts for us. But the home is there to work for us.
Yes.
These are not just, US concepts or French concepts. These are global, like we're connected because of that.
Well, because we're humans, and this is neuroaesthetics. So this whole relationship that you are so beautifully displaying is what I think we all need to take away from today. The home has a relationship with the person, and when we can marry that energy from the space to the being is when that alignment happens. Here I'm going to take you farther. We all are nature. So we talk about materials. We like real materials. We like real wood. We like natural light. We gravitate towards these things. It's familiar. We know it. We go back to thousands and thousands of years. Jennifer mentioned that ancient means modern. We have that DNA in us. We recognize it. It's familiar. We know that, oh, we like that. That's what we need. As beings, we seek beauty. Beauty means good. Beauty means good. We gravitate towards that. So when we can have the nature outside aligned with the home, aligned with the person, we feel this sense of euphoria.
That feel good.
Oh.
We want to feel good.
Feel good, yes. So we, as designers, have a superpower. A superpower. We are not to be questioned. We are to get the right rate for our position, but we need to serve. So how do we do that? We tap into, there's the aesthetic triad. Please look it up. The aesthetic triad is, these are how people respond to their spaces. Psychologically, Anjan Chatterjee is in the University of Pennsylvania. He's the head of the neuroaesthetics department, a rock star in neuroaesthetics. Fascination, composition, and hominess.
What's the last one?
Hominess.
Oh, scientific.
Scientific. And what that hominess means, so composition, we all know it. We follow the rules, it's the balance, there's the math, here we go. And that makes sense. Everybody understands that. Fascination is when we bring in our creativity. That is the patterning. That is the mixture of elements. That is how we position the tile. This is how the fascination, oh, the curiosity, boom, dopamine. And the hominess is knowing you belong in that space. This is where I belong and where my people belong. And that's where we feel good.
Anyone in here Dutch? Okay, good, because I'm going to mispronounce this word. Don't make fun of me. The Dutch, there's a word called hazala. Am I saying that right?
H-Y-G-G-E.
It's like hazala. It's a word that actually means hominess. It's the sort of the motto of their entire country is to access that sense of hominess and that sense of comfort and coziness in your space. Hazala. Don't record this because somebody's Dutch is going to tell me I'm saying it. But there is an entire culture based on that as their core value.
We're all thriving because we feel this sense of belonging, we feel welcome, we feel all of these internal things, and somehow we have been led out of this language where these softer, like less science-based, principles have kind of devalued what it means to actually design a space. But what I feel from this conversation is the urge, the need, the desire, especially in 2025 as we move forward, this imperative to embrace a language that supports interior design and creates a more profitable, more kind of clarity around how you express your services and bring value to your clients. Let's talk specifically, we started to talk a little bit about materials, because we've talked about the design of the space, right? How that supports our neuroaesthetics, all the things. But let's go down into materials a little bit. Jennifer, you have when we were talking before, you were talking about some of the principles of the design around a tile line that you've been developing. And I really would like for people to hear a little bit more, because we know natural materials, right? That's an easy go-to, but there's so much more to question from your sources and to really be able to understand the innovation that's happening with product development.
Well, materials obviously are the core of all of our business. A lot of designers I find don't, if they're not specifically a kitchen and bath designer, I find they don't necessarily dive deep into surface materials, which I encourage all of you to do, because you cannot put a sofa in a room without the room.
Yep.
And so you have a ceiling and a floor and a bunch of walls that are all part of your canvas. They are your canvas. That's where you're setting those soft goods. And so I do have a new tile collection, Livable Luxury with Ensor Tile. And there's one of the series called Metamor that has, it feels very ancient. It has this very old textured feel to it, told in a modern way. And there are flecks of metallic copper in the patina on it. Your brain has, copper is a trace element. So copper is in your brain right this minute. It is connecting your synapses. It serves as a healing property. It's part of how your body heals itself. And that's also physically true. You've seen all the copper wraps for your body. Your body and your brain need copper to survive. And when your human brain sees copper, it recognizes that material as part of its own self. So copper has an innate hominess. It has an innate draw to lean in, to feel good, because your brain knows that's in there making it feel good right now. So that when we're talking about materials, and this goes back to neuroaesthetics, talking with your client, our job is not picking out a couch. That's not what we're doing. We are creating an entire universe for you where you're the center of it. And I'm going to bring elements of health and wellness, of mental, psychological, physical stability and support for you and your family, for your coworkers. And I know how to do that, and this is how we get the yes. I know how to do that because I know what's happening to your brain when you see copper. I know how your body is going to respond when you take a shower in that bathroom that has my tile in it, because of the neuroaesthetic principles that are being applied in that moment. And that's part of how you get the yes, is that you have the knowledge to actually tell your clients, it's not a touchy-feely experience. This is science of how I'm going to create the space for you. Did you want to?
Yes.
We're all nodding our heads.
Yes. You can tell that lean in part, you want to touch it, you want to be with it. It's a living, natural element. So biophilia, you hear all about biophilia. Biophilia has 15 different principles, broken up into 3 categories. Nature in the space, representations of nature, so literally Jennifer is bringing nature into your space in a gorgeous tile. These materials are what we know. We know these resources are out there. So we can specify, this is the best tile for you, and here's why. Done deal, conversation's over, how can I write your check? When we have, we need lighting, we lean on lighting. Light is life. Light is life. It manages your rhythm, you sleep better, you wake up, you focus. We are so grateful, I'm so grateful to Visual Comfort that they have always helped me and supported me in creating the energy of my space. So they have a great architectural lighting, but we can actually, as designers, specify, talk to the contractors, talk to the builders, talk to the developers, talk to our clients about, let's up your lighting system. Let me explain to you, yes, we need the 3 layers of light, we all know. We all know we need the 3 layers of light, but here is where we can really enhance your space and enhance your living environment and bring you, deliver to you. You want me? I have you. Here's your lighting system. And we inject pieces of architectural lighting around the space.
I'm laughing because Christopher Grubb, who is a wonderful designer who's here, yesterday I was getting a tour of where he's staying, and we're looking at the chandeliers, and they all had 5,000 K bulbs in all of these exposed bulb chandeliers. And we're walking around, and he literally said, he's like, I'm gonna start traveling with my own light bulbs.
There it is.
And it really hit me about that we're gonna have this conversation today about how your client probably doesn't know the difference between 3,500 K and 5,000 K. They don't know what that means. They do know that sometimes they go into a space and it feels like a funeral parlor, and sometimes it feels like an operating room.
Right.
And that they don't want to operate their lives in either of those places, but they don't know why. And that's another, just one more element of where the science of what you know is going to affect how they feel in their space and how their lives will be affected just by the change of a Kelvin of a light bulb.
Of a light bulb.
This sounds like a fantastic opportunity for someone to develop a line of light bulbs for the industry. There's an opportunity here. I'm just targeting a little marketing.
I think Christopher Grubb is gonna have to do it. If he can figure out how to have the portable take with you to your hotel room light bulbs, he deserves that one.
But no, we do all the other things. We do fixtures, but who's doing light bulbs?
2%.
2%. Okay, let's I would like each of you to, if someone were to take a, big takeaway from today, or if they were just getting started doing this, what would be the first next step for them before we open it up to Q&A? What would be the maybe what might you want people to take away? What would you want them to start with? All right, in their own business.
Yourself. Start with yourself. When we're negotiating, we have ourselves, we have the other person, we have the situation. The point of today is to get the yes, so we're negotiating. When we can show up in a way that our profession is all the way up here, when we can show up confidently, securely in our position, and when we are describing and servicing our client in the best way, that is when we are going to thrive. So for me, I learned a ton from the Science and Design course. It's a solid course. It's very meaty. Mike brought all the major experts from around the world into one solid course. When you take the course, your molecules will change. You will come out of there knowing, I know what I'm doing. I learned this. Here's some terminology that I can use. And we have taken it farther. So beyond the course, we're in contact with the presenters. Anjan Chatterjee, we talk to Alexandros Lavdas, we talk to color consultants. I'm in touch with the neurologist out of Texas who loves decor and design and tells her clients, get a designer. So we have taken it farther. There's a whole world that we can elevate ourselves first, and then we can serve better.
That's a good one. I say what she said. That is great. And it really does start with yourself. I would say that the takeaway that I hope you have from today is definitely up yourself with your own education. I love that you're here because you're here to absorb and learn, as we all, I think, come to High Point to do. But I would say that, you know, the motto we use in my practice is we operate with gracious firmness. So when I'm approaching clients and I am talking to them about the importance of what it is I'm going to do to change your life, how I'm going to lift you up in science-based, factual-based choices that you can't necessarily make for yourself, when I do that, I'm operating in a conversational way with gracious firmness. I never say no. I say, that's one way, but here's another way that could be better to leading you to the yes in your own life. And that's how we operate in my business. We operate with gracious firmness. And so that would be one takeaway I hope you get, is that continue to operate with gracious firmness in your own business and your own practices as you are guiding clients to understanding that you are the core of the movement that's going to lead them to that happy place of feeling good.
I feel like, so good. Transforming from interior design into branding and marketing for our industry, my mission has been to elevate the entire brand. Interior design has a brand problem. We know that. Like, we all struggle to validate our work and say like how essential interior design is. And so this is another important, and I think maybe the way to begin to have that brand problem solved within each of your work. So this has been a really incredible panel. I'm so excited to hear your questions. We're tethered. I don't know if there is a mic that we can use, but otherwise, if you have a question, I'm going to ask that you project, because we're a big room with a lot of really great absorbent materials. So I won't be able to bring you the mic, but if you would like to stand up and project your question, we'll get started with questions. Okay, we'll go here, and then here.
Hi, I'm Colleen. I'm actually a former physician. So I know Chatter very well. I'm out of the Philadelphia market. I live in Ohio now. Anyways,
Awesome.
My question to you is, I'm taking my medical degree and my interior degree, and I'm melding them together. And before, we used to call this Gestalt, which is the architectural and psychological world of like bringing it together. And then Neuroaesthetics came out, so I'm so excited. I've listened to your podcast like 10 times. My question is that I think you're right. We kind of all do this naturally, but is there a particular brand that's doing it on purpose? Like that you're following, that's saying like, yeah, now we've got these curves and the lightings, that one or two brands that you both love?
I got to jump in on this one, because, and this is not because they're our sponsors, but Phillips Collection has been doing this since the dawn of the company.
Yes.
What's interesting about their entire philosophy is about storytelling. It's about the story of the piece. And for me, when people ask me what I do for a living, I tend to say now that I am a storyteller, because I am helping tell the story of their lives and their world. And I think they do an excellent job of everything that we're talking about in terms of natural organic materials and global culture of design and heritage and connectivity to all of your senses. I think they really nail that spot on.
Phillips Collection brings the fascination. They bring the connection with nature. So their pieces, you are literally, like Jennifer's tile, you're literally sitting in the room with a tree trunk that was naturally sourced and hand touched, hand finished. you can feel that energy travel. Philip's collection is awesome. Fazy Rugs is our sponsor, and Fazy is wrapping their heads and really leaning into designers and natural product. I mean, we have that connection. When we get out of bed in the morning, our bare feet touch the ground, and how are we gonna start our day? Fazy Rugs has really come into science and design and neuroaesthetics. Visual comfort, lighting all day long. Visual comfort has us in every and any possible way we need. Those are like out of the gate, tried and true brands that we lean on. Thank you. That's awesome.
I had a question back. Was there someone else underneath the screen with questions? Okay, take it away. Can you stand up and? Thank
My
you.
name is Brooke Pikeridge. I'm one of the sponsors with Real American Hardwood for biophilic design and wood for the Pinnacle Awards coming up in October. I have two questions. One is, how do you ensure that wood is responsibly sourced if you use it? And if there are any specific hardwood species that connect you to biophilic design, do you think that people perceive luxury vinyl over wood because of cost? And what finishes connect you to your space when it comes to hardwood species?
I love that you're asking services questions. I'll jump in on this one. Okay, so let's kind of break down what she's asking, because first of all, does everyone here know what luxury vinyl flooring or luxury vinyl planks are? Okay, so right now they're being created to emulate wood as opposed to being natural wood. It has its purpose. There are some companies that are making those in a very sustainably responsible way, so it definitely has their place. How do you ensure that a natural hardwood is responsibly sourced? That is your job. Your job is to know the stuff your clients don't know. Your job is to do the research and call the company that you're looking at their flooring and say, where does this come from? Who's manufacturing it? What are their practices? Is it going through a chemical process in an overseas country where there's not regulation on what's going to off-gas from that floor later?
Right.
You have to ask those questions. So that is your job as a designer, is to do the research with those materials. You have to ask those questions. In terms of what hardwood surface materials are more biophilically connected, it's not the species, it's more the texture. So what, and color and tone.
And
so,
smell.
And the smell, that's true.
And smell.
But it's the, right now we've definitely got a movement towards pieces that feel textural and hand wrought, not machine made. So we're also seeing patterns in parquets and herringbones. Herringbone and chevron go back thousands of years. They're original patterns. So like you go back to ancient history, we've got woven cloth that's thousands of years old. Those are the patterns. So again, it's that sense of heritage, the sense of history, the sense of hand craftsmanship, things that are textural. So it's not necessarily the species, it's more having something that is a tactile connection that has a feel and look of heritage.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I think for a long time people forget the connection to what these loggers in the United States have towards their land. The disinformation that is projected about cutting down a tree is bad, but these loggers have a connection to their land. These as select harvesting, they're thinning the canopy so the younger trees have a chance to flourish, to grow, and they would never destroy their own land. They have to have an endless supply. So like the constant thought that wood is bad because cutting
We
down
don't think
trees
that
is
at
bad.
all. We think
No.
wood is great. It's a natural living species. And when we can inject that nature into our home, this is what we're used to. So we talked about the ancient brain earlier. We are used to that. We're familiar with that. When we can smell something that is natural and beautiful. We connect to that. That makes us feel more homey. So you mentioned LVPs earlier. If you guys kind of look around, again, homework. We have to do our homework and service our clients. Here's your price point. Here's your price point for real American hardwood, and here's your price point for LVPs. Where are we? Let me tell you the return on investment there, what that's going to give you. When we can deliver a natural product into your home, you are going to have this reaction to it.
I would also greatly encourage all of you to start going to services shows. If you have not been to Coverings, which is going on, I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Coverings. If you don't go to those shows, I encourage you to go, because you will learn more in a 3-day tour of being around all of the world's manufacturers of stone and tile and hardwood surfaces. If you spend the time there, you will know more in 3 days than you learned in years of school about those natural materials.
And NWFA flooring exposed.
There you go. Yeah, she goes.
I'll say too that a lot of this conversation is about the material on the front end, but the back end conversation is about the mindset and the reshifting of how your clients perceive time and value. We talked about heritage, we talked about multi-generational living, we talked about the home or the space, mostly the home being a fixture in your family, right? Something that grows and evolves with you or becomes another character. So if you can contextualize your conversation around this sense of time, the investment to not be sort of short-sighted on cost, more on the value of, you know, the length of the duration of how much time you're going to be spending with these materials, that will shift. But that's a bigger and harder conversation to have with your clients, but it's your responsibility, in addition to being educated, to educate your client on the value of the home as a part of your family.
There was a
I saw
question
a
in the back.
hand up. Yes. In the green? Blazer?
Okay, so I'm Phyllis Johnson, and my business is Green Concierge Designs. And so I created this back in 2012. At the time, no one was talking about green products or neuroscience in design. And my, I guess I'm looking for advice, is where do I find these people? Because, I mean, people are looking for saving money, but they don't think about the aesthetics of what it's supposed to look like and how they're supposed to feel in the environment. So my challenge has been finding clients who are interested.
How do you find your clients now?
Word of mouth, networking, and things of that nature.
Write a couple blogs. Write a couple blogs. Newsletter is huge. Put your, do you have a website?
Yes.
Up your website. Put the language on your website. You will start to position yourself as an expert in this, as a go-to. It doesn't happen overnight, I'm telling you. It doesn't happen overnight. But when it does, when you start to find these clients, when you can capture those spaces and highlight those spaces and really talk about and bring a dialogue around those spaces with your client, with yourself, with your team, with your word of mouth, with all your people, when you can talk, that's when the universe is going to deliver your clients.
I also think Facebook is a good place to find them, because you have an opportunity with Facebook groups that have like interests. So they're not necessarily even people who know that they're looking for an interior designer. They know that this is our group of the health and wellness group in my neighborhood. It's a built-in community that already has like interests, and I personally think that's a great place to start sourcing and finding people who have like-minded desires, not necessarily in interior design, but in life. Because that, I find, is often how you open the door. People meet you and get to know what it is you're about, and then they realize, oh, I've been wanting to redo my kitchen. And that's how I think you can open that conversation in your field.
There's so many ways to have thought leadership around this, even if you're not, I mean, of course, if you're not comfortable, like on Instagram or, you know, putting your face to this, writing blogs is great, your newsletter, again, however you can get the word out about your own authority, whatever you're doing, your channels are your best asset for that.
Use words. I know it sounds really simple, but use the scientific words. We do math all day long. Let's wrap our heads around some science and deliver that and show up in a way that instantaneously in the first sentence, they know, I need you to do that. Thanks very much.
Did you?
Yes, I was gonna say something to her. One thing that's worked well for us is we've partnered with an architecture firm that has absolutely like-minded, mindful architecture, anyway, this is you, this has worked well for us, is we have a partnership, a wonderful partnership with an architectural firm. And so when they are building a new house or doing a major remodel, they point to us as the design crew. Now, it's a separate contract, it's not it's not a contractual agreement, but it works really well.
So how did you?
So we were referred on a project, and he was the architect on this project. But we connected over all these points, which thank you, by the way, because I didn't have verbiage to put around it like I do now.
Good.
I've taken so many notes, but
Good.
it's kind of what we do. But anyway, so we just connected, we filled in each other's voids, it was a tough project. So when we lasted together and said, okay, we can make this work, and so that's also.
And that relationship-
Architects, that's a good way too.
That relationship travels.
Yeah.
Your client, the homeowner feels that.
Yes.
They feel the love, they feel the material, they feel the process. All of these things go into creating that understanding of what this house is and means and where it came from. And we build it. We create that. We create the love, we create the process, we create the structure. So it's all connected.
Build your network. Did you have a question in this car?
Yeah, one question. So Barbara Halsonic, Atlanta, boss lady. When you work in an existing space, like surfaces, everything is given, and you're working also in a budget-conscious environment. Based on your experience, and where would you start? Of course, there's the need. You're in the assessment of the space, but how can you start budget consciousness in shifting the whole concept, around? Because we are talking more about decor and furnishings, fabrics, like in this environment. But overall, so as a friend of mine started 2-3 years ago, just to create like a product library of surfaces who have impact on health, right? It was driven by her story of a friend of hers who had cancer. And so that drove her into that part. But is there something in the works in this environment? Because I feel this would be great also to look at this, again, conceptually. I'm always thinking about solutions to help us in the different areas of design and price consciousness to find solutions in how we can introduce that to a broader audience.
Okay. So, there's I have like 50 things I want to say, so I'm going to try to slim that down. First of all, health is not about budget. So a healthy product does not have to be the most expensive product. The reason products are expensive is not just because, and this is what I tell my clients, if a product is expensive, it's not just because they want to make more money off of it. There's a really good chance that the product costs more because there was more thought consciousness put into that product. For example, instead of it being made by some 9-year-old who's making a penny a day, this is actually made right here in North Carolina, and it's made by people who have been working for this same factory for generations, and it's made in an eco-conscious way and sustainable way. I do try to tell the story with my clients, but again, that goes back to you do have to do your homework on those products. You need to know that. In terms of budget though, when it comes to us and how we're adding cost to the budget by being such expensive designers, I tend to tell clients that I am the cheapest money they're ever going to spend.
That's right.
Because what they're going to pay me, they're going to save in spades on a million different facets, on time management, on errors that are going to cost them money. Most clients come to me after saying, I did something and it didn't work, now help me.
That's right.
So that already cost them money. And it's also in terms of quality products, what I'm going to be putting into their home, how it will change their lives. It's going to save them money when they're not going to the doctor because they got cancer from that flooring that they put in the house. So there is a whole world of budget friendliness of having an interior designer. We are saving them money at every turn of what we do. And with products, as you're selecting them, you can select a product that is inexpensive and still is an eco-friendly, environmentally safe product. A lot of companies have really moved in that direction, but a lot of the products that we have here at High Point, they cost $1 or $2 because they are made of true quality and heritage quality.
If you're really concerned about budget, if your client is concerned about the investment part, things are already down, you cannot reconstruct, start with your services first. Tell them you do not need to spend $1. I'm going to go shop in your house. Let's tackle this area. Let's tackle this area. Tell me what you need to do. Tell me what you need to feel. Tell me all the things. What do you like? What do you don't like? They may need you in an hour. I can shift an entire energy of a room by moving things around. And then all of a sudden, oh, we just needed one little accent table that will round out the space. And then you find them going to visit it later that night. And then you find them sending you a text saying, I can't stop looking at this room. I can't believe it was like I had all this stuff at my fingertips the whole time. Thank you so much. That's when you grow. That's when you say, okay, when you're ready for your bathroom, give us a call, we'll be ready for you. But when you service them, when you deliver them, what a space can mean to you, what that space, that relationship that you share with your environment, you don't have to pay $1 except for my services.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm transitioning from doing all of this and niching down to the 55 plus community and empty nesters, and one of the concerns that they're having is their children don't want grandma's stuff. And so I am refinishing that furniture. How do you educate not just the client, but how are you educating those children on ancient meets modern?
Well, I love that you used ancient meets modern, thank you. However, we're not going to refer to grandma's furniture as ancient.
Some of it is, I'm sorry.
Some of it is. You know, actually, I think we're in a good time to have this question, and there's a nice gentleman sitting behind you who can answer this as well. No, you. Yes. Because we actually talked about how the new generation, they are seeking quality in a way that honestly my generation didn't. We're trying to relearn that skill set, but you know, I grew up in the disposable era. That was the fun of living in America. You could buy something and throw it away the next day because you just could. And we've gotten in this horrible habit of buying crap, and then we have to buy the crap over and 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 over again. And instead of buying one really good chair, we end up buying 20 really crappy chairs. And so we're having to unlearn that skill set. The younger generation that's coming up, you know, in their 20s, they're actually learning something really interesting on Instagram. And it seems like they're, you know, just flipping through their phones. They're actually seeing accessible quality at their fingertips very, very quickly. You used to have to go to a store and buy a magazine and, you know, spend they used to be $3, now they're 12, but you know, you didn't have the access that they have now to actually see true quality, what an heirloom piece looks like. So I think the challenge is not going to be with the grandkids, it's going to be with the kids. It's our generation, and some other ones, we're the tough guys. So I would say that the approach to that is to say, look, you don't have to inherit all of your mother's furniture, but there needs to be a cherished heirloom piece that you understand why it's cherished. What is the story? And again, I think I'm a storyteller. What is the story that this piece has? My grandmother's had a bed set that had this beautiful spindled wood, and it was, I knew the story of that whole set because it had been bought for her by her mother, and her mother had, I knew the whole story. And in doing that, I fell in love with the piece and made it work in spaces by refinishing it, that's true, by refinishing it and bringing it to life in an ancient meets modern way, surrounding it with things that were very contemporary. And then it had a story and a piece to it that became part of my heritage.
This is really a great place to just pause. We'll be here for lunch, sponsored by Elan Design. And so you can please stay and ask questions. There's also a raffle. And let me wrap one thing and I'll let you tell a little bit about that. And don't forget, please, that you're welcome to join us for the private tour of the Phillips collection.
Yes, please.
Great brand. And I will just say that there's so much information here and so much to learn and so much to take back with you. You have resources. This is one of the great reasons why you come to High Point Market and to other shows to learn from each other, to learn from the experts. But just to say, like, our responsibility again as designers is to create this home that nurtures the family, that gives us kind of insight into how to maybe, if we're living in a more beautiful space, we're living in a space that nurtures us, maybe we'll make better decisions about what we eat, and then maybe we'll make better decisions about how we work, how we serve others, how we serve our community, and how we serve the world. So interior design really isn't necessarily only just about the space itself. It's an opportunity for all of us to create a better world for everyone. So go forth and make beautiful things.
Yes. Yes.
You, the world is in your hands, but stay for lunch too.
As we're breaking up, and you're going to tell us about the raffle? Or
We're just going to pick the
we're gonna
raffle.
Okay, they're going to do it. I do want to say that as you're coming in and out, there is signage for LA Can Do. You know, we are all here spending clients' money and spending a lot of time, but if you can, do take a moment to give if you can. LA Can Do is, we've had a really tough time in Los Angeles, and there have been thousands and thousands of people who've lost their homes. It has been a challenging year. I have personal friends who are homeless. I lost a home in a fire before, so I know the pain of that. And LA Can Do is a beautiful charity that is helping people to transition back into their home lives in a beautiful and supported way through the community of interior design. So it is driven, it's founded by Adam Hunter, it is driven by the interior design community. So if you can, even $1, every dollar goes to supporting that movement.
Even $1. And we also, on those signs, we supported our family in North Carolina. We all converge in North Carolina twice a year. So Samaritan's Purse is also on there. Our friends in North Carolina are still struggling with the hurricane and things that we want to, you know, rally as a community. We're a big, giant family, and I'm so grateful that you're here, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it. And here we go, everybody. Here we go. I'm gonna pick a raffle. These 3 raffles. Oh, thank you so much. This is a luxury, my Turkish towel I have a private label Turkish towel from Istanbul. The winner is, here we go, 684558. Yay! Joyce.
Thank you very much.
Wrap yourself in love. This is fun. Here we go. 684556. Awesome.
Need to mix it better.
I'm gonna mix it.
You got that? Thank you. Oh, she has thank you.
Enjoy it. This is the last one, and this one I hope you guys enjoy, and please call me up on it. This is a consultation, a neuroaesthetic consultation. I'm going to give it to you for your house. Do this yourself and spend this time with me, and we can talk through how this happens. But we sell these consultations to designers, to developers, to our clients. We want everybody to understand what the space means. So please do spend this time with me. Here we go. 684514. Wonderful.